following program is classified G. It's suitable for all ages.
A very good evening and thank you for joining us on an episode on Business Best this evening, and this is a platform where we showcase the best in the business and we will be introducing to you people who have excelled in their particular field in order to showcase their latest developments in their respective industries. Now usually on the show we have a particular firm that's joining us, but today we have two firms. That's because they have come up with a collaboration with each other, because Sri Lanka is going through a really tough time, going through an economic crisis, and there are people out there in the rural communities who cannot afford their basic needs per se because of the inflation and the floating of the rupee, and it's been a tough time for everybody. Now the two firms who are joining me today are not particularly new in the industry, but they have been long-standing for a few years. But we are here to talk about their collaboration today. Now, with that introduction, I would like to introduce to you to Bhavna Dadlani Jayawardene, who is the General Manager of Uber Eats Sri Lanka, and also Rukshan Peiris, who is the Chairman of Red Cross Colombo. Rukshan, Bhavna, thank you very much for taking the time to join me on the show today. And now to talk about Sri Lanka and about your collaboration. Tell me a little bit about how you both collaborated with each other. And this is not the first program that you're initiating. We all have been doing certain projects earlier as well. How has the experience been with Red Cross and Uber? Bhavna?
Sure, yeah, thanks Shanali, and thanks for having me here today. Like you said, it's not the first time that Red Cross and Uber are working together. This is a pre-existing partnership, and I'm happy to say that we're actually building on this partnership with this new initiative that we're launching today. Just to share a couple of details, I guess, from the past.
Actually, today, Sri Lanka Red Cross came up with an idea, basically, to help the people out. Basically, there are a lot of people. There are a lot of people who are in need. So we came up with a project proposal, and I think Uber agreed on it. And basically, the program, basically, what we are going to run is basically giving dry rations to people. So basically we are planning to give about 7,225 packs, dry ration packs, to 6 divisional secretarial divisions and in 50 locations. This project basically will last for about 2 months. We will do our own assessments and we will ensure that this the packs, the dry ration packs, will be given to the correct person. So,
Bhavna, what do you feel about Sri Lanka right now, and why has Uber decided to give this generous donation to Red Cross, collaboration with Red Cross, and help Sri Lanka out?
It's a tough time for the country right now with what everyone is going through this year, but ultimately we're all in it together. So very proud that we're able to work with like-minded corporate citizens to just join hands and do something for the country. So Uber will be donating around $200,000 to Red Cross, which will go towards procuring life-saving medical equipment, and as Rukshan mentioned, ration kits. Each ration kit will be sufficient for a family of 4, and they'll be distributed to individuals, as Rukshan mentioned, across divisional secretariats. Where we are reliant on Red Cross's deep sectoral expertise to really identify those who need it the most. This will also cover a number of Uber's delivery and driver partners. I think from the medical equipment point of view, it'll be donated to around 15 hospitals in rural areas that ultimately support around 30,000 citizens. So really proud of the partnership that we're pushing forward from today.
That's amazing, because Sri Lanka is also running out of medical supplies, and it's difficult to find supplies right now. Rukshan, working at the Red Cross, where have you identified now where the extremism is, like in communities? Where are the rural people? Where do they need help the most?
actually, it's not only the rural people that needs the help. Actually, it's the urban community also. So basically what we understand, because of this economic crisis and the humanitarian crisis, we feel that a lot of jobs have been, now people doesn't have jobs, right? And all their life skills, they have stopped their own businesses. So there's a big need at this moment. So
Definitely.
that's why Red Cross has come forward basically, joint hands with Uber, and we are doing something to the people. So we want to do our best. And Uber, if we talk about Uber, we have been in partnership for many times basically. We did during the COVID season. Uber gave us the hospitals in Sri Lanka, the staff in the hospitals, they gave us 50,000 rides, which I think benefited immensely to the hospital people, the doctors, the nurses, even the attendants, the minor staff, they benefited from this. Right, and they gave us some PPE kits we distributed to the hospitals. So this partnership with Uber has been a bit of a long-standing relationship. So we are very confident of also working with Uber. So because Red Cross is always, we are very focused on what we do.
Bhavna, now the launch for this event was occurred a few days ago. So how do you plan on, the distribution process, and how will this work now from here onwards?
So we'll actually be very reliant on Red Cross for the distribution process. That's where a lot of the expertise will come in as well. Where Red Cross will use the...
Basically, the process is basically, it's like this now. We will do an individual assessment from each household. We will go to household and we will do an assessment on they do actually a need analysis. This will be not only done by Red Cross. We will get the necessary the divisional secretaries of the people, the office people from the divisional secretary to join us. So it is the government collaboration, right? And we will identify the right person for this donation. And we will go and give this. We will do a procurement part, and then we will have about 50 locations so that we could get these identified people and distribute this stuff.
All right. Now, Uber has been in this business for quite some time. I think in Sri Lanka it was operating from 2015.
Yes.
Am I right? So,
That's right.
when doing business, now Sri Lanka has gone through a series of crises at this moment. So,
Yeah.
how was your journey for the company?
It's been a roller coaster to say the least. So our mobility business did launch over here in 2015. Delivery launched over here in 2018. And since then, it's just been back-to-back challenges, like you said. We've had Easter attacks in 2019. We had 2 years of COVID in 2020. Very proud to say that it's been a resilient team that we have in place. Close to 100 proud Sri Lankans on ground who come together to really focus on collaborating to do meaningful impact ultimately for our earners and communities. So it's been a roller coaster, absolutely, but very proud that we've been able to bring in agility in the face of adversity. To call out a couple of examples, when COVID came about, we launched grocery as a service to cater to our communities.
That's right.
Yeah, so that was in 2020. And then this year, to call out one example, we launched bicycles for delivery that have scaled quite a bit in the last couple of months as well. Again, just to be agile and do what we can for our earners and communities ultimately.
What was the biggest challenge you faced so far as a company?
Over the last few years?
Yes.
I would say the biggest challenge would be in just making sure that our team are energized and motivated through it all, because challenges would come about on a daily, weekly, monthly basis over here. We've all been a part of it. But ultimately, if we have a team on ground who is feeling very energized through it all, that's when the magic ultimately unlocks. So very proud to say that that's been one of the biggest focus and one of the reasons we've had that many achievements over the last 3-4 years.
All right. Rukshan, now being an NGO also, I mean, as Sri Lanka has been going through all of these crises, you all would have had immense amount of work in identifying the beneficiaries out there, and it would have been tough as well. Explain a little bit about your journey as well,
Yeah,
the past few
in
years.
the recent past, actually, we faced the Easter Sunday attacks. So we were working on that, especially on the Easter Sunday attacks. We gave a lot of help to the people who got injured, and we gave like a lot of things for the families who really got hurt from these accidents. And then of course the COVID came, and that we did a lot of programs for COVID. Actually, we were one of the main partners with the government to provide a lot of equipment, medical supplies, and we actually even had a ward at the IDH hospital where we maintained the ward and we provided our own staff, and now this economic crisis, we have to still move forward and help the community. Basically, that's our job, When a humanitarian crisis come, always the Red Cross has come forward in every need. So we are continuing our work. So we are really happy to do that also.
All right. We need to talk more about the collaboration as well and on this new initiative as well. But before that, let's go into a short commercial break. You're watching Business Best and we'll be back soon. Welcome back to Business Best, and we are in discussion with Bhavna Dadlani Jayawardene, who is the General Manager of Uber Eats Sri Lanka, and also Rukshan, who is the Chairman of Red Cross Colombo, and we were discussing about their new collaboration and on how they're going to help Sri Lanka during this economic crisis. Now, Rukshan, we left off with your question. I want to continue on that. I just want to know, like, during these hard times, are you having enough donors, and how important has it been, Uber collaborating with you all on this project?
This is a crisis that government only can't manage, So actually all the corporates, all the NGOs must get together, and we must help the government to come to get away from this crisis. So I think on Red Cross, we would like to have more donors because we are an international organization, right? So we work according to international standards, the accountability and the visibility of what we do is according to the international standards. So any organization who wishes to join us can join and work with us so that we could really help the community and do something good for the community.
Yeah, I think it's very important. It doesn't have to be a huge lump sum, but at least in some way, if anybody can help the community, I feel that it's very important right now. Bhavna, I want to ask you now, Uber is mainly a delivery service and transportation service. Now, Sri Lanka was hit with a fuel crisis as well. How did Uber manage with that?
We pushed on a lot of, I would say, tactics this year. Firstly, focus being on our earners and communities just to keep things as steady as possible. So, for example, we increased fares for our courier partners just so that they will be able to afford the increased fuel prices as well. We distributed fuel coupons to our earner base. We distributed ration kits and grocery coupons to allow them to access essentials a little bit easier, just to take off that stress factor as much as possible. For our communities, some of the tactics that we did was we took off all commission from essential items like milk powder, milk, rice, which enabled easier procurement for our merchant partners. So it was a little bit easier for merchant partners to stock those items, which meant that customers were better able to access the items ultimately. So that was some of it. But like I mentioned earlier as well, the bicycle launch, just bringing in another supply solution, which is not dependent on the fuel ultimately. So that really took off over the last couple of months, and we see that as an initiative that's here to stay, regardless of the fuel crisis. Micromobility is something that we're really passionate about from a sustainability point of view. So we truly believe that this is the future, and we're just finding that opportunity to ultimately build back stronger than before the crisis.
Definitely. How has it been, your experience now? This is not the first project that you are collaborating with Red Cross. What was your experience with Red Cross, and how has the experience been so far?
We absolutely love working with Red Cross, which is why we're here working together on this initiative again. I think we've built a lot of trust together in our partnership over the last couple of years. And we're also very reliant on Red Cross for their deep sectoral expertise. As Rukshan mentioned, the specific methods that they would have in terms of identifying which communities are most in need, how do we distribute whatever donations we do make. So that gives us a lot of confidence as well that it's meaningful impact that will ultimately translate to.
Definitely. Rukshan, coming back to Red Cross, now you said people are in need of mainly dry rations and medical supplies. Other than those two, where else do you feel that Sri Lanka needs help right now in community's point of view?
I think basically dry rations, food is the main source, because you have to be food secured for a person. So other than that, we need a lot of technical capabilities, like we have to support different skill jobs, which is we have to train them, put them to various jobs, and give the support so that they could start something on their own. So that's the thing we have to do. And Red Cross has started another program called Home Gardening, where basically we are going to launch it actually, where we will give the technical skills, and we will give all the agricultural equipment and the plants so that they could do a small home garden at their houses, in their backyards basically, so that they could grow something and they could use for their own food, or they could even sell it. So you should understand that we have to, somehow or another we have to come out of this. So
that's true.
So we are there actually as Red Cross. That's what our main plan is basically.
Now, you being the chairman of Red Cross and the general manager at Uber, y'all are on the top level hierarchy. What has been the most challenging so far when it comes to Red Cross?
It's basically challenging in the sense, actually, truly speaking, getting the funds, basically, because with the new, there's a global crisis on. So, getting funds from a corporate or a funds from abroad is a little bit of a difficult thing, because the whole world is in a crisis, economic crisis situation. Other than that, we have our own volunteers. So, our volunteer base is superb, so that the cost for volunteerism and that is very minimum. So other than that, I think Red Cross is an organization that is self-sustained. What we do it in a professional basis, so that it can what we deliver is basically the best that we could do.
Bhavna, now this is I think the third project that y'all have been collaborating with Red Cross. Are y'all planning to engage with Red Cross even in the future as well?
Absolutely, yeah. Like you said earlier, we've had a great time working together and built up a lot of trust over the years. We're also very proud of the meaningful impact that we both come together to ultimately make in the country. And I do believe that it's going to take a lot of instances of this, of proactive donations, understanding where communities need the most help, jumping in to build that independence, that will ultimately enable us to play a small part in building Sri Lanka back up.
Up to what level do you think like donors like Uber and everyone else could, benefit the community from? Because the people out there need to know, and the job that y'all are doing are benefiting the people as well. So what are the main critical benefits that they can obtain by this?
What I want to add firstly is not only the corporates and other stuff, but even an individual can do something to the economy, to the people, for them to benefit. So it's basically that you can help another person. I think our main motive is to help people and get out of this humanitarian crisis. So that is our main motive. So whatever we get, whatever we do it for the people.
That's right. Now, I think we are reaching the end of our program as well. I want to pose this question to both of y'all. Where do you think Sri Lanka is going? Now, the past few years, we have been going through a series of crises. And now currently we are going through, the latest is the economic crisis. And we never know what's going to happen in the future again. So, in your personal opinions, where do you think Sri Lanka is going right now? And what are your thoughts about our country?
Sure. So it is a really tough time for everyone in the country right now. I do strongly believe that Sri Lanka will continue to have a lot of potential with a very resilient population that we've seen over decades with everything that communities over here have been through. I often refer to it as the gem of South Asia, It's just because of the amount of potential and, let's say, opportunity that we can ultimately look to seek out. I am confident that Sri Lanka will build back for a stronger, more resilient future even. We were talking about some of the opportunities that will get us even stronger than when the crisis had started out, like, for example, sustainable methods of transportation. So I'm feeling very hopeful and confident for the future. I do have to say that it will take, like Rukshan mentioned, not just the organizations, but also the individuals coming together to play their small part and be proactive about building it back up.
That's true. Rukshan?
Yeah, I think you have to see this on a positive side, basically. So what I personally feel is like Sri Lanka has gone through many eras like this. We were in a big war, and we were, so I think every time we have come up. So let's think positively, basically. I think we really could come up from this crisis as well, and we could do well.
All right, thank you again, and this is the end of our program as well, and I wish both of you all the very best, and I believe that this collaboration is going to help Sri Lanka in many ways, and I wish that these collaborations will happen often with NGOs so that, people can identify the people who are in need the most. And again, Bhavna, Rukshan, thank you very much for taking the time to join me on the show today.
Thanks, Shanana.
Thank you.
And that was our episode on Business Best. We will be back again next week with another product or service or another new initiative that will interest you and something that the people should need to know. And till then, just in case you couldn't watch us on air, you can always rewatch by catching us on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Derana English. Stay safe, have a good night. I'm Suzanne Shanali.